Hello, welcome to Focus on Fantasy Romance, episode number 62, a podcast where we discuss books, genre, industry, and our geeky lives. I'm your host, Elle Klaus.
I'm A.R.D. Clark.
And I'm Paulina Woods.
And today we have fantasy romance author J.M. Riddle. Why don't you say hi?
Hi.
And you are joining us from the outskirts, desert-y area of California. So thank you for taking the time to visit us.
Well, thank you for having me.
So I'm going to ask you some questions about your books. Your first book, Torn Apart, has a fantastic cover. Can you tell us about Torn Apart? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you tell us about Torn Apart?
Torn Apart is my debut novel. It is a fantasy romance, and it is the first book of the Convergence series. And the Convergence series is kind of an epic fantasy that takes place in a world where there is an alternate dimension of chaos and evil, and it causes anomalies called tears, which are little rifts in the dimensions where basically demons can escape and wreak havoc. And in this world, there are priestesses who try to fight against the chaos, but there are also therianthropes, or shifters, known. And our main character is basically trying to go up against this chaos when, romance happens. So, of course, she has to deal with that. And I don't want to spoil anything, but it's got a lot of action and adventure, but also a lot of fun romance that I think readers will enjoy if they especially like a more high fantasy style romance.
So your profile says that you have 4 associate's degrees and then a bachelor's degree in English literature. How did your English literature degree influence your writing?
Well, I went into getting my English degree knowing that it's probably not going to be applicable for much else than teaching, because sadly that's what an English degree is generally used for. But I personally pursued that degree because I wanted to be a better writer, which is why I majored in English Lit. I wanted to, broaden my exposure to literature that I wouldn't have probably found otherwise, and I also wanted to improve my technique as far as writing goes. And I think the degree and my educational experience did help make me a better writer, because trust me, when I wrote in high school, I wrote crap. It helps.
I think most writers, unless they get a really late start, most of them start in high school and they have that notebook of ideas that we would now want to never show the world.
Burn it.
So the 4 associate's degrees, what were those in?
2 of them were in business. One was in business and the other one was in business management, because I wasn't sure whether or not I was going to have to go my own someday, and I wanted to know how to manage a business. And then the other ones were in liberal arts and English, and I mostly had to get those because I was going to transfer to my university, and I figured, well, I'm going to scoop up as many associates as I can along the way, and it got to be a ridiculous number before I was done.
Well, that's kind of like I'm in college also. I'm getting a business management degree, but I'll end up with a bachelor's. But what I want is there's a marketing degree that's 3 credits shy of my business degree. I'm like, well, might as well take those 3 other classes and also get this marketing degree. So my thought process is I'll always continue to improve my craft, my writing. But I thought, hey, a business management degree, that should help the business side. Have you found that that's the case?
Definitely, especially with something like marketing, because a lot of people don't realize that writing is not just sitting down and writing. Most of it is editing and learning how to put yourself out there as a writer. I mean, you can put stuff on a page all you want, but if you can't, make a name for yourself and get your book out there to people effectively, writing into the wind.
And I think a lot of authors, two of the three podcasters on this show right now are introverts, and marketing is really hard for us because we're like, well, we don't want to be salesy. We don't want to be that annoying person that's like, buy my book, buy my book, buy my book. And that's not marketing at all. So yeah, introverts and writing go hand in hand, and then we have to somehow get people to discover our work, and that's where we're like, oh, what's going on? So that's my round of questions. I'm going to pass it off to Amy, who is next.
Hello. So I just have to tell you, Jay, that I love your last name because it used to be my last name. So I know that riddles are cool. Yep. So I am going to ask you a few things off the questionnaire that we sent. And one of the things we talked about were your likes and interests. And you said that you like strange, obscure films. So tell me what your favorite obscure film is and why you like it so much.
Are you familiar with a director called Jodorowsky?
I have, yes.
Have you seen Holy Mountain?
I have not seen Holy Mountain.
Imagine a movie where a guy who looks like Jesus in a loincloth has to get into a knife fight with a wizard, and then he eventually gets into alchemy, and he literally takes a golden deuce. So if you want a movie that is absolutely insane, watch anything from Jodorowsky, but especially watch Holy Mountain, or El Topo is another good one that's ridiculous.
Okay. So have you ever seen Donnie Darko?
Yeah, I love that one. That's a very good one.
Yes, that's my favorite. So when you said strange, obscure films, I thought, oh, that's the first movie that popped in my head. So when you watch movies, are you a popcorn kind of girl? You have chips? Are you eating chocolate? What are you snacking
on? Usually popcorn. I don't know if you've tried the Colonel seasonings, but they make one called caramel cheddar. Oh my God. That is the best popcorn you can ever make.
Kind of like a sweet and salty? Sounds good.
Oh yeah. That's where I go.
So the next direction for my questions is going to be anime. Because I saw that you mentioned a few anime in your answers. So I saw that you like Inuyasha. Great choice. Mm-hmm. Love Inuyasha. My daughter and I just watched all of Inuyasha straight through from start to finish. Who's your favorite anime hero?
Well, probably going to have to say Sailor Moon because that's like my all-time favorite anime. And it's kind of one of the animes that kind of was important to me growing up because I grew up when there wasn't a lot of powerful female superheroes as role models, and Sailor Moon was kind of, the exception to that. And so she's definitely going to be a favorite forever.
And what draws you to anime? What do you like about it?
Probably what draws most people initially is the art style. Usually here in America, we grow up with things like Looney Tunes or Disney, where it has a very, sometimes it tries to be realistic, and then sometimes it's almost like anamorphic animals, whereas anime has this very specific look that's all its own. And I think that's what initially draws people in, but also they have more serialized stories. We're used to like one-off shows here in America where I like following like a long storyline and see what happens. That's more interesting.
I completely understand. My daughter and I are in the midst of Full Metal Alchemist right now, so we know all about complicated storylines. So tell me on the subject of animated films and shows, how do you feel about Miyazaki?
I really like Miyazaki. I think he's kind of gotten a little less interesting lately because one thing about his films is he's always kind of pushing an environmental message. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes the story can take a back seat to that sometimes, especially with like Nausicaa of the Wind, where it's like really pounding in the environmental message. But he has made some wonderful works like Princess Mononoke and Howl's Moving Castle or Spirited Away that I think are really probably his best crowning achievements as a anime director.
Absolutely. Spirited Away was my first. Every year my husband would buy me a Miyazaki movie for my birthday. So Spirited Away was the first. But then when I saw Howl's Moving Castle, I was instantly just absolutely in love because I'm a sucker for a good romance anyway. So I think that's one of the things I really like about the anime too, is because you have the adult themes with the art style as opposed to cartoons, like you said, like we have here in America. So that's one of the things I enjoy about it. On the side of, we talked about films and we talked about anime and TV, but where are you with your reading style? Is there a certain author that you're just craving right now you can't get enough of?
Right now, I'm actually in the middle of reading The Never-Ending Story, the book, because I grew up on the movie, but I never got to read the book, so I had to fix that. But primarily, I do like fantasy romance, but like epic fantasy, high fantasy is definitely more my taste.
Are you reading the copy of The Never-Ending Story where the real life is green and the fantasy is in red print? Because that's how I read the story the first time. So what was happening in the real world was in a certain color, and what was happening in the other world was a different color.
No, mine's all in black and white, but I didn't have any trouble discerning when they're talking about the real world. I think like the real world is in italics, and then like story is actually just regular text. So maybe that's how they're differentiating.
Yeah, it's another wonderful story. Okay, so those were my questions. Now it's Paulina's turn. I know she can't see the side chat, even though I was talking to her. So can you hear me, P?
You do have to unmute yourself. Paulina. Well, I'm not sure where Paulina is. She says she can't unmute. Well, that's problematic. She also said that Amy asked all of her questions.
We have a lot of the same interests, so I know sometimes our questions overlap a little bit. Paulina would have probably asked you about Doctor Who, but oh, she said, hold on, yeah. She's trying.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look up this caramel cheddar popcorn flavoring because popcorn is like my favorite snack. Normally, I just put butter and salt on it. I'm pretty, I don't know, boring, but is that you can just buy it at the grocery store? It's just like a shaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
The caramel cheddar. Yeah, definitely going to buy that. I remember reading The Never-Ending Story. I borrowed a copy from the library because I'd seen the movie, but I was like, I want to read the book. And yeah, it was that classic with the red and the green text.
Mm-hmm. That was the first time I'd ever really experienced a book that was different in that way. And I really enjoyed it. And I remember the first time I saw the movie, we went to the babysitters and it was like, I don't know, I was like 8 or 9 maybe. And I was so scared. Like when they were in the cave with the wolf and the whole stalactites and all that. Remember that part? Like I was freaked out by that. I thought about it and how scary it was for like weeks and weeks after that. I think that was the first time I was ever really scared. But now my husband forces me to watch so many bad horror movies. Nothing scares me anymore. I'm like, oh my God. I roll. I don't do gore. That's the thing. Like, I'm all right with suspense and occasional blood and all that, but things like Saw and Hostel, where it's just gore upon, I don't do that. I don't know where.
Yeah, I can't do.
I like violent, but not horror movies. I can't handle those either.
Yes, I can't do those either. So we just finished Altered Carbon on Netflix. If no one's seen it, I would highly, absolutely 100%. It is Netflix's best show ever, period. Must see TV.
Yeah, don't spoil it. I have not.
I would not spoil it. I would never spoil it because if someone spoiled it for me, I would be sad.
Oh my God, that was ridiculous.
Yay, she's here.
That was so stupid. My phone would not let me back in. It just kept saying, "You're already on a call." I'm like, I know that. I'm trying to get back to the fucking call. So that was entertaining. Yeah, Amy, you were like asking questions. I'm like, really? Thanks. Keep asking. But anyway, now that I'm finally here, I guess I'll go with the DC Marvel because obviously Black Panther's coming out. Woohoo! So, out of all the heroes, which one is your favorite? Doesn't matter which universe.
It's kind of a toss-up between Wolverine and Rogue because I'm definitely into the X-Men storylines the most, and I kind of grew up watching the animated TV series, and I always thought that those two had the most interesting story arcs, and they were probably the most complex as far as characters go. I hate Cyclops.
He's whiny. Why is he whiny? Or did they just make him whiny? He's just always like, you took my woman. Shut up. Be a man. Go get another one.
Yeah, I don't like Cyclops either.
I wish he would just go get someone else so, everything go back to normal. So what is your favorite superpower?
Probably super strength because it would seem to be the most useful, especially in like the Marvel and DC universe where people are punching through walls. You want to be able to take a hit and not die. So I imagine being super strength would really help.
Yeah, but mine is speed. Because I'm sorry. I'll just run away. And I want to be able to run fast enough that they can't catch me. They'd be like, what's your superpower? Running away? I'm like, okay, is that a superpower? Like, watch me run.
I want my superpower to be super metabolism. I can eat as many donuts as I want and never get fat.
Yeah, but if I run, I can eat whatever I want to. The Flash can run really fast, right? And he can eat whatever he wants to because his metabolism's fast.
You're talking about working for it.
Speed force. Flash has got to tap into the speed force.
I'm okay with that.
He wants.
As long as I get away from whoever the fuck is chasing me.
Yep. No one should ever ask me this question because I will have 0 fans.
So there's also Kitty Pryde, who can't get hit.
Okay, really fast, guys. Sorry. On the vein of superheroes, we know that Stan Lee always shows up in his movies. So do you like with bated breath look for him? Like,
I'm gonna find him because I just love him.
What is your favorite cameo?
I think it was on. I want to see what the second Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, when he was like telling a story at the way station, right?
Yeah, that was definitely awesome.
I was like, oh my god! I told my boyfriend, I was like, we have to watch this now so I can rewind it and be like, look. He's at the end.
Fans are actually his cameos so that they make sense and it's him in all of them, but that's really a stretch.
Yeah, well, you know what though? He is kind of immortal, so I don't know. It's not really that big a stretch. Sorry, the noise is I'm leaving, so you'll hear doors closing and stuff. You're welcome. Everybody now knows I'm going to work. So on that vein, I love him so much. And I love Guardians. I didn't think I was going to like Guardians 2 or 1 or any of the other ones. I was amazed I actually liked it.
I think a lot of people were surprised by that. I went into it with low expectations, and I was definitely proven wrong. Even my friend who doesn't even like superhero movies is obsessed with at least the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Yeah, I think it's because he was normal. Like everybody else, like, they were all like either super power, super strength, super something, and he's just this normal kid who.
Peter Quill's the son of a celestial, what do you call those?
Yeah, but
his dad he's technically not normal.
He didn't have powers, so he was just like singing and dancing, and then Mary Poppins. Come on, it's funny.
I love Mary Poppins.
I love that movie. Ah, Mary Poppins, bitches. I'm like, someone probably should tell him. Never mind, he's dead. So that was like my favorite. That's my questions. I just had to talk about my. Oh wait, no, one more. Because you live in my desert. I call it my desert because I grew up out there for 18 years. What's your favorite part of living that far from society?
Well, it definitely gives me a lot more time to work on my writing. I have done a ridiculous amount of writing since I've been out here.
How long have you been out there?
It's going to be 2 years next month.
Oh, okay. You're still a baby to the desert. But I commend you for it though. I couldn't do it. I ran at 18. My mom was like, "Are you coming back?" And I said, "Sure." But I think my favorite part. So, what do you do out there for fun? Because I know there's not a lot you can do out there. But what do you find that you and your husband can do for fun?
I have dorky interests, so I will actually go exploring and looking for like things that I haven't seen before. Like there's actually a lot of weird little museums out here. Like there's a historical home like 20 minutes away, and there's like a Native American museum on a, I'm not sure if it's res land, but it's like this really interesting little set aside area like on the side of a hill. And there's air park museums, there's space museums, we can go watch movies, I guess. Other than that, there's not a whole lot out here.
Do you guys have do you guys still have an out? I know we do. Do you have an outdoor a drive-in?
No, I haven't seen a drive-in in a long time, not even out here.
Oh, 29 Palms still has one, and it's beautiful. I love going when I go visit my mom because I'm like, oh my God, it's still working.
I miss those. I grew up with drive-ins.
Well, hopefully you'll find one because those things are so much fun. They really are. But that's all my questions.
So back to me for the wrap up. And for our listeners, you agreed to do an ebook giveaway of Torn Apart, correct?
Yep.
So as we do, to be entered to win a copy of Torn Apart, the fantasy romance by J.M. Riddle, you need to ask J.M. Riddle a question in the comments on our blog. So this is episode 62, so find the post for that. We'll leave it open for a month, so let's do March 10. Yes, I counted that off on my fingers. I never remember. March 10, we'll close it. And then you'll be able to enter for a chance to win. I had no wine. I just can't talk. So why don't you tell our listeners where we can find you, like your social media links?
You can go to my blog at jmriddles.com. All of my social media links to my Twitter and my Facebook are going to be on there, as well as a page where you can see all of my stories.
Well, thank you for joining us. Listeners, if you like the podcast, please like, comment, and share. This has been episode number 62. Have a good night.
Good night.